I'm Chase,
And I'm Timothy.
and this is customer service.
It's muted on my computer. Is yours muted on your computer? I guess it doesn't matter.
I think we only ever do one person. It just so it doesn't feedback.
Well, howdy doody. We're back in this bitch.
Thrilled to be here. I don't want to be anywhere these days. I need like a week break where I'm not
You just
around
need to
anyone or doing anything at all. I'm
hibernate?
Just in like one of those chamber.
Like, I know what you're saying. What you're looking for, pal, is my bunker that is yet to be built.
No, that's not it at all. You've completely misinterpreted. I was thinking of some like cryogenic chamber or something. Not your weed dungeon.
That's my garage, dude. I'll get that set up here soon.
I don't want to go into your dank ass weird fucking thing that will be poorly built enough that if there were bombs, that thing's gone. That thing's gone.
Yeah, man. And as we've said, it'd be nice to have a bunker in case of emergency, but it's more or less just a place to hang out. I like the idea of being underground for some reason.
Yeah, you have no water and like 2 Costco bags of Cool Ranch Doritos. It's set to go. I could last 2 weeks down here.
Michelle comes, opens up. It's like a door that's on the top of a submarine. You know, you wheel it and then pop it open. And she does it just quickly enough to throw some snacks down. And then I hear her.
Otherwise, the smell gets out. So no, not that. That's not what I was looking for. I just feel like every time I travel and I get back, I feel like between whatever my body does while I travel, which is completely seize up and destroy itself for no reason.
Yeah, man.
And then I get back like between jet lag, which I'm definitely dealing with a little bit of, and you're just like on a plane and like everything else that comes with it. I feel like I'm just like unwell, even though I'm not doing anything specifically. I don't feel like my normal self.
No, I completely agree, and that's why I asked you if you were having allergies and shit, because it felt like the second I got home, dude, sneezing more than ever. I had a lot of triples, which I don't do triples. I only do doubles. Triples is best, but I had a lot of triple sneezes. But man, just congested as fuck and tossing and turning, and by the time we'll be adjusted here soon, But even like 2 days ago, we were writing a line, and it was like 4:30. And I was like, I'm really, really trying to stay with it.
In the mornings, I feel like I just woke up no matter how much I'm sleeping. Yeah. And then at some point in the afternoon, I feel like I can't see straight because I'm so tired for like 2 hours. And then I'll beat it, but then I can't sleep at night. Yeah. So it's like I'm not sleeping enough. I'm tired, but I can't go to sleep.
I agree. So, you hit that threshold. It's like when you're hungry and you're so hungry you're not hungry anymore.
I've fasted on the planes because I've heard that helps with jet lag. I have taken medicines. I have done everything I can try. I've tried to map out when I should be sleeping versus shouldn't for things, and none of it works. Like I think that jet lag is jet lag, and there is no beating it. If someone says they beat it, it's because they're so off schedule all the time that it doesn't matter. Yeah. But I think that's the only real way that you can beat it.
Yeah, or maybe you're like 19. Like when I was like 19, I probably could have just bounced back, but who knows, man. It got on top of me. Speaking of which, coming home, I do things I never do, which I took supplements, medicine. I went and got a bunch of juice shots.
I like that you're such a staunchly against this kind of thing, and the second you have like minor discomfort, you break on all of it.
You know what?
Which is why it's the half the reason I argue with you in the first place, because I know that your positioning is so weak that I just want to push you off.
Strong opinions, loosely held, baby. I'm down to have my mind changed.
Minor discomfort. I'll take whatever.
Brother. I always tell Michelle, I felt like my stomach was a bowling ball, and I couldn't stand up straight, bend over, walk right, lay down. Everything I did felt uncomfortable for the next 2 days to follow. So
I think that it's travel like this is very tough if you're for a lot of reasons for you and I, but I'm very regimented with how I do things. I do everything that I do kind of in a very similar order all the time, or at least like my baselines are all the same. So I think it's healthy because it's an easy way to know if I'm like sick or off or whatever it is, because I can easily be like, nothing I normally do is operating correctly. So there's sand in the computer chip.
Yeah.
As if it's that.
Hell yeah. Or bologna and mustard in the disk drive. Andy does that in the office when he's trying to break his computer so he can get a new one.
I was like, where's he going with this?
That hits for me because
why mustard too?
The thing is, I'm a big fan of bologna, so
that makes sense. You look like bologna. You are bologna.
Yeah, I'm mortadella if I'm wearing Visvim, but beyond that, I'm bologna.
That's correct. Yeah.
But nonetheless, we are back in this bitch, Brondo. Let's go ahead and just do a little recap. Feels less eventful than typical because you and I, as you mentioned, are creatures of habit, and we were lucky enough to go to the same hotel, and the meeting was in the same place. But what do you think? I mean, we ate at the same restaurant.
I was going to say, if you listen to the podcast while we were in Tokyo, we just copy and pasted those days for the next however else. I don't remember how long or how much longer.
There's a ramen restaurant at the top of the hill by the old hotel we stayed at. Went there the first night, decided it's consistent. We liked it. We ate there 3 times total.
And for everyone that's like, you're in Japan, what are you doing? First of all, Japan has like udon, ramen, sushi, and I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff. You know what I mean? But for the most part, it's a lot of the kind of the same restaurants in different places and doing kind of probably different specialties and stuff. And I
sure,
get that.
And it's over our head, the intricacies, I'm sure.
That's the deal.
Yes.
I can't read those menus. And quite frankly, yes, I'm also sure that if I traveled outside of the neighborhoods I'm in, I bet there's even more. But I don't really feel like taking a 20-minute cab and a 20-minute cab back every single time I want to go eat. So sometimes it's just nice to be like, I just like taking the walk. I like seeing what I'm seeing. I like people watching. The place we were going was very mellow, and so you could sit outside and just watch people walk around. And they start to know you. The guy knew where we wanted to sit when we came the third time.
He would just point to the table, go ahead.
Yeah. So I don't care. Because like we were saying, it's like, what am I going to do? It's going to be 20% worse as a roll of the dice, or it'll be 20% better. But it's not going to go beyond that. So if I like the vibe, food's solid.
I wholly enjoy
better than
the
any
food,
ramen I'm going to get here.
100%, yeah.
So it's great.
Yeah.
Went to the udon place a bunch of times, and we never even had to wait much longer than 30 minutes. So that's pretty solid.
You know, for everybody out there because we've recommended Menchirashi to a bunch of our buddies, it's close to our hotel. It just so happens it's also like very popular right now. But we've heard from people, I waited 2.5 hours, or I was going to go, but the block was the line was 3 blocks down and around the corner, and it would have been in the afternoon. They got that shit in order now. You go put your name in, they email you when it's ready, and then you can stand in line. So, you know, both times we waited in line 15, 20 minutes total. Other than that, we were able to just like mill around. I think we just walked around and went. So anyway, it was really good. The food was. We had a little conveyor belt sushi from the same place we'd been before, and it was great.
The conveyor belt wasn't working, so it really took out the...
Yeah, the guy just handed it to us. And it's like, I really like it if you put it down over there.
Yeah.
Put
it on the racetrack.
Yeah. But other than that, nothing really crazy to report food-wise. We had the same shit. It was good. I went to Family Mart and had a bunch of that. It's dope. Shout out our coffee shop. We could say it, right? We've said where we stayed. Who fucking cares? We're not there right now. You know what I mean? What does it matter?
Look, if you want to make the mistake of making a trip to Japan at the same time we're there so you can like run into us, that feels insane. Yeah. If you're dedicated, you can get a hold of us. You know what I mean? Like, we're around.
Yeah.
I just told you we go to the same places and do the same things every single day, not only in Japan, but here.
Yeah.
So like, you can find me. I only go to one coffee shop here. I only go to one art supply store. And outside of that, everything else I complain about having to do. The Whole Foods. You know that it's close to my house. If you're trying to run into me, you can run into me.
You can. Yeah,
I don't really want that, but if that's your thing, I mean, it's 10 minutes. I don't have much. I'm not going to do the podcast in real life, so you know.
Yeah.
I'm around, so I don't care I don't care if they know where it is. I don't, you know. Again, I have stuff to do when I'm there, so we'll get a dinner.
Yeah.
You could just schedule that with me too, though. So if I don't really consider this doxing because I don't think it.
No. The coffee shop, to shout it out. I have actually my little mug. It's
that's the type of coffee.
Onibus Roasters is who makes the coffee that is supplied in this cafe, and then the cafe itself is About Life Coffee Brewers. That is the coffee shop, and there's 2 of them. ALCB. There's 2 of them within walking distance of where we were. One is in the basement of the hotel. We loved it. I was happy to tell the fella, back for the second time, dog. We specifically loved this coffee shop. I got this little one too. He was nice. said our outfits look nice. He said it's clear we work in fashion, which maybe that's just his line because he hit me with that last time. But he's a nice
It's a good
dude.
line for us.
It's a good line.
He knows what he's doing.
And then so there's the coffee shop on the left side, and then at night, post 5 or 6 p.m., there's a little bar, and it's Mikkeller, Mikkeleer, which is, I think, is like a Scandinavian beer brand, but they do on tap and a bunch of little cute things. It's just cute and fun, and we like it there. So we got to go to our coffee shop many a time, and that's about it, dude. You know what I mean? The travel there. Let's talk travel. Travel on the way there. I felt like I hit like a flow state. You know what I mean? I felt like I didn't realize what we were doing until 6 hours into the flight, and I was like, oh shit, we're already like almost halfway. We're good. We're more than halfway. We're good. I'm not worried
Everything
about it.
traveling there was so easy. I mean, it was like every single thing we did just took 2 seconds.
Yep.
Nothing was delayed. Everything was simple. The currency exchange, which I know you should have got the money ahead of time, but now because every ding dong is going to Japan, I have to ask for yen 3 months in advance now, apparently.
Yeah.
So I have to get it from the currency exchange.
From the bank and shit?
Yeah. So, but it was like I was like, well, we got to find that once we get to our gate. And it was like, oh, it's right here off
at
of
the top of the
thing. So
good,
everything was just so simple getting there.
Yep.
Now, returning home was different.
They got us pretty bad. Is there anything you came home with, Timbo, that you were stoked about? Because, we were worried about customs. I've said it, but...
We're really stoked on this incense brand that I think people probably know from Japan. I forget the name.
APFR.
Yeah.
I don't know if it has a longer name, but it's APFR.
It's great.
What the branding is.
I got a little dish that's made from Japanese soil, which is apparently a type of pottery that's very traditional and difficult.
Is this at Journal Standard?
No, I got it from Maidens.
Okay, cool. That's what it was. Yeah.
So it's soil from Kyoto that's then like slow kilned, basically.
Tight.
And it takes, I don't know, some really low temperature over it, and like when you feel it, it looks like you mounded soil together, and then it got hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean that's what, and then it has these really interesting kind of like. Apparently it has to do with some kind of ash that they use in it that actually like gives it this sort of color, which is almost more of like a sheen or like metallic look to it.
Sure.
It's a really interesting piece. I like it a lot. So I'd say that was like the coolest thing I got there.
Yeah.
But it's just a little dish.
Good.
Yeah. I've wanted, I have, like I've told you, like my whole house could burn down as long as I got the cats and the kid. I don't really.
Yeah.
You could. It sounds fun for everything to burn, quite frankly. So I can start over. So I don't really care, but I do have my grandpa's ring and my grandma's ring, and I really, those are like the only 2 things I really give a shit about. So I've needed a place to put those that wasn't cool. Weird spots, so that they didn't get lost. So they're in there now, and nice. I like that. So it's got a little duty, and I also like looking at it. So it's good. Yeah,
it's a nice little intentional thing to have some special shit on.
We got some other bullshit, but there's no clothes or anything if that's what people want. I just wasn't.
Do no shopping.
I need to spend money on clothes. Like I need to do it, and it's not about like I want to spend money on clothes. I have money that I've sold things or done whatever, and it's for clothes, and I need to replace the clothes because I've got too few clothes now.
Yeah, I feel you.
But like nothing's hitting for me for some reason, and I don't know what it is. I think I just need to wait. I think but I also worry that if I wait, then something will happen to the money.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I'm waiting for either. So.
Yeah, I mean, well, we can talk arrivals here in a little bit, but there's some good shit coming in here pretty soon. We'll do a little rundown. No clothes shopping for me either, dude.
We looked. I mean, I saw a bunch of cool stuff, but there was just nothing that was like, I have to have this. At least not this round. But I don't know. That could just be a mental state you're in, as opposed to. Yeah, just wasn't what I was looking for. But we got a lot of home goods.
A lot of home goods.
Random home things.
We each got one of those cool glass. It's like an ashtray, but it has like a little section where you put like the Palo Santo or something, and like
I didn't get that because I got the tray where you can put a candle and incense.
Oh,
stuff,
I remember
so you can move it around from room to room.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so that was fun. Just home goods, dude. Some incense. The incense is really nice.
It really just milled around. We looked at shops. There's great shops.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed. I never know with you. You're always like, sometimes we censor people's names. Sometimes
just don't say his name. But we had a buddy who's in the Discord.
Yeah.
I didn't ask him explicitly, and I like to just in the event. But he lives in Japan, and he took us around, and so we got some lunch with him and
looked at stuff there. We just sort of looked around. We didn't really leave our neighborhood too much this time because I don't know. Just didn't feel like it, if I'm being honest with you.
Hey, it was you and I because last time we had the gals with us and they were eager to travel, and it was fun, and we did travel, and we did see the different things. And Michelle and I went to Kyoto, and you guys went to Disney World, all that, this and that. But this time it was like, all right, pal, we're going to take it easy. We're not going to stress. We're not going to stress about getting a cab and being at this place at this time and making a res this time. It's like there's a lot of good things within walking distance, so we tried to live as if we lived there. Just had our regular little haunts. You know what I mean?
It was fine.
Yeah, it was dope. It was dope. We went into Maiden's, as you said. Beautiful little store. They were really nice in there. You got that cool little tray. They have a really awesome brand assortment, some brands that I'd wanted to see in person but hadn't seen personally.
It's like more like a research trip, if that makes sense. Like we looked at a lot of different little shops. A lot of looking. We looked at a lot of things. We did a lot of walking around so we could see places. Yep. You know what I mean? And that was kind of all it was. You know, but that's helpful in its own way.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, dude, that's been it. Oh, I am happy to report, I've said in the Discord, but I am happy to report I came home with a lot of curry and a lot of candy, which was great.
We both were coming back with, I had beauty supplies that Abby wanted me to pick up that I was very worried about getting snatched. Made it through both. And you had a lot of curry on you.
Yeah.
So we were both kind of coming back packing.
Yeah, and it's like curry that comes in a pack. There's like meat and shit in it. So like I could see him taking
especially dicey. Yeah.
It's like when Abby almost got her ass nabbed up. We would have let her hang out there for the afternoon. It's all good. We would have got her. But
they were like telling her that she'd have to go to prison for 7 years, and I was like, "That's what you get. That's what you'll have to serve your time."
You should have known better than to bring that meat stick.
Yeah, you shouldn't have brought that child's meat stick.
So anyway, I would like to talk about the foibles of coming home.
So basically
I woke up to a text from you at 5:30 in the morning, and I'll say I was ready to sleep a little bit more.
And the thing is, I was finally sleeping well. Like I went to bed at a normal time. Finally, I felt like I would sleep, but I woke up because I actually think I fixed it, but. Ever since, no one gives a shit about this, but I'll
tell
UPS
anyway. Notifications?
The fucking UPS notifications that I get every time one of these damn boxes moves. And just to be clear, when we get a shipment, it'll be like 26 boxes. And it updates me on every single box. So it's 26 emails every single time that thing gets scanned. Through customs, through any shipping, like, oh, it's in Nebraska now. Every time I'm getting 27 emails. So it sounds like my phone is ringing a lot. You know what I mean?
And I want to say, I have... at multiple times.
I figured out how to do it.
Taking your shit off, but I'd like to see where you did it because
I'll show you.
It's deep. But
anyway,
you woke up to a bunch of notifications.
I knew what it was too because it had been happening all week, and I was like, God damn it, I keep forgetting to. And I heard it, and I'm like, I'm not gonna even look at my phone because that'll make me wake up more. So I was like, I turned around and I was like, nah, I was stressed about it. So I'm like, let me just look to make sure that's what it was. And I looked, and that's what it was. So I'm deleting them, and I'm like, oh. Fuck, we got a flight delay. And I was like, whatever, dude. It
said 1 to 2 hours.
Yeah. And I was like, well, that's no big deal. Who gives a shit? We're just going to wait longer in the thing. But then I was like, well, let me quickly see what that means. And then it was basically, it made the layover impossible. And when you land somewhere that you have to like do a layover for in the US, you have to go through the customs, and it was in Minnesota.
And then go back through
Minnesota's system
specifically. No. Technically, it was Detroit. We were originally going to fly into Detroit.
That's right. Yeah. So I don't. That was the issue. I didn't know how long it would take there because, like Minnesota, for example, takes eons. And so I was like, I don't know how long that's going to take. Yeah. It's really giving us like 30 minutes. 30 minutes, assuming nothing goes wrong at all, and we get in early, which usually doesn't happen on the way back. And we need to get through customs and off that plane and through customs into our gate in 30 minutes. There's literally no chance we're going to do that. There's no chance. Yeah. And the only other flight out of there got us home late as fuck. And I was like, I don't want to do any of this. I don't want to risk it and then not get it. I don't want to not book the other one, but I really don't want to book the other one. So we were like, all right, the only choice we have, and shout out Abby because she's the one who did it for us. But I called her. Luckily, on the different time zone, she was around, so she was able to help me out. Because I'm panicking in my room in my underwear at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And she got it set. So she's like, all right, so there's a different flight out. It's a little bit later in the day out of there, but you'll get home earlier ultimately. And you just got to lay over in Minnesota instead. And I was like, all right, well, Minnesota, that shortens up the trip by an hour. This gets us home earlier. All good, not ideal. We have to, but they can't guarantee us seats or anything. And let's just put it this way. We're in nice seats. It's nothing crazy. We're not Delta One, but we're in nice seats.
Yeah.
And because it's a 12-hour flight and this is for business and we have 1 billion miles because
you are a Delta card member, you spend a bunch on this fucking
Diamond
card.
Medallion.
Yeah, I wanted to say that. I want to also say specifically that's what irks me most about the rest of this story is like you intentionally spend a bunch of money with this company to get a status so that we can be treated well and have access to better seats. We're not just
assholes who paid a shitload of money. It's because we spend a shit ton of money for the store through this thing and then we get a bunch of points and that's the whole reason we do it.
It makes travel easy and cheap.
It just makes travel slightly easier and it's technically cheaper ultimately for us. So like it's not to say that we're some pricks about it. And it's also just like it's a 12-hour flight. It just makes life a little bit easier when you're doing it for work. So you know, not that I think that we deserve it, but at the same time you sit there and you're like, mentally that's what I'm prepared for. I'm prepared for at least that tiny bit of luxury, which is my legs can kind of go a little forward.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Thank you for contacting us, Mr. Grindle. I can see that you're a Delta Platinum member here. Let me go ahead and take a second. I'm going to put you on hold.
Diamond Medallion.
Diamond Medallion.
We can't go higher.
Diamond Medallion. I see that you're a Diamond Medallion member. Let me put you on hold for 1 second. I'm going to get this handled for you. That is the right way to handle this shit.
You don't work for Delta because that is not what happened. No. Look, they got us on the flight. The flight was already pretty booked. And the problem was, I think a lot of people were doing what we were doing.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't guarantee us seats. So what are we going to do? Basically, they said, we can't do anything over the phone. You have to do it in person. So we said, fine. We have to be out of the hotel at 11. We're going to go and we're just going to sit at the gate.
Which is what we always do. Yeah.
So we went and sat next to the gate, being like as close as we could. We were there 4 hours early. You know what I mean? So we just sat there for 4 hours right next to things. So the first person over there we're going to talk to, first person comes by, we chat him up. She's like, can't help you. And I'm like, all right, you got to come back at this time. So we go like, I'm not even leaving. We're going to sit right here.
Yes.
And in Japan, they have like, they're doing the right thing. They've got all these reserved seats for elderly people or pregnant people or handicapped, whatever it is. And you're not, and there's a lot of them. And that's great. But we can't sit in those.
We're
trying to be close to
empty.
the gate.
Yeah.
So we just sit on the ground next to the gate, trying to be like, as soon as they get up there, we just need to be like, well, there's not a lot of open tickets, but there was 2 that were the same as ours, and we just want those 2 because it's like we're not spending any extra money or anything like that. Technically, it was a slight downgrade for us, but we're like, gee, we just want those seats. So they finally tell us, we'll guarantee you seats on the flight. You're guaranteed to be on this flight, but we can't guarantee you the seats. And we're like, okay, so as soon as you do that check-in, we just want to be first. We're trying to be like, I'm not trying to be an ass. We have a certain status. We would love to make sure that we're at least kind of transferred over there. So, and I know this sounds obnoxious, but don't worry, we got ours. So don't you worry. And I still spent all the money.
Yeah.
So they ultimately, like, last minute, we keep asking. It's busy. It's completely, we're boarding the plane at this point. They still haven't assigned us seats.
People had already been on the plane and we had not gotten our seat assignments, yes.
So they finally give us the seat assignments and we're like, ugh, I don't know.
By the way, I just want to say, they were already pre-printed out. We asked the lady who, admittedly, there was one lady who seemed to be running the show. Her English was really good and she was wearing a different outfit. So I'm assuming she's the boss. We asked her and said, hey, we still don't have seat assignments, this and that. Goes up to the desk, girl goes, just without saying, hands it over. So it's like, first off, you fucking had the tickets. You're doing it to punish us, which is, I don't know what we did wrong. What did I do? We're so fucking polite, we're also painfully polite.
We weren't being obnoxious about this. We were like, please, if we could do anything,
we understand
that. It was just like, it's like us being very subservient to this whole thing.
So subservient.
So they assigned the seats. I didn't even realize these seats existed. It is the back of the plane against the fucking wall.
Can't put the seat back, nothing.
You can't put the seat back down. And the person in front of you can put their seat down. So when that person was down, if I needed to get up to go to the bathroom, I had to take the armrest up and then scoot my body like Harry fucking Sideways. Houdini out of there just so I could like go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's how like I couldn't watch TV on the monitor because my eyes would not adjust to how close the screen was to my head.
Yeah.
So I have like my phone here and I'm sitting like this, looking down at it. And that's how I had to sit for 12 hours. Half the time I was just standing because there was like the area. Also, because you're back by the kitchen, there's these people that fly. What were you saying?
I believe it's called deadheading. It's where like when you work for the airline, but you're not necessarily on a shift, but you fly where the flight attendants would be.
So they have some seats, but they're never sitting down because they're friendly with the staff. So they're back there literally scream laughing and messing around to the point where like I'm not that picky. 2 people went back there and asked them to please quiet down because people are trying to sleep. Also, where we're positioned, there's like, you know, you can imagine they turn off all the lights because it's nighttime or whatever. We're back there, and I'm just far enough back that I'm in the light. Like there is a fluorescent light over the top of me, and they can't turn it off because they can't turn off some legal thing. They can't turn it off. So also you're lit up like a Steak and Shake. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fuck
I feel like
by the way,
like Kmart.
Steak and Shakes are the most fluorescent
it's
room
the
you
worst
can enter.
lighting in America. If you want the worst lighting, you go to a Steak and Shake. And you only go there when you're like a teenager in a hardcore band. So you go there and you're like,
they're open late.
We couldn't look worse. This is the worst we could look.
I'm still sweaty.
We spend so much money getting the perfect bad MySpace picture so that you can't tell how bad my skin is. And then we go to a Steak and Shake where it's like, oh my God, you couldn't, you know, you can have the best skin in the world and you look terrible there.
Yeah, no doubt, dude, no doubt.
That was so you can't, like sleeping was like impossible.
Yeah.
I can tell you're in the middle next to me and I'm trying to give you as much space as you need because you're in the middle.
And I'm doing my shrinking.
So I'm trying to do this so that you have the space you need and letting you go into sarcophagus mode as you do on the plane. And so most of the time I'm just standing. I just stood. Yeah. There was like a ledge and to be fair, they put like the water. So if you needed to walk back and get a water or a drink or something, I was just drinking them and just putting them back. No, I was drinking the whole thing. I wasn't like doing anything gross, but I was just back there drinking stuff. Because if anything, I'll have to go to the bathroom, and that's something to do to pass the time. Because I can't do anything else. So at one point, I asked Steven, like, can I sit in one of those seats just for a little? I'm like, you can bump me anytime you need because they're not sitting there. And they were like, oh, no. And I'm like, what do you mean? I could have just done it and you wouldn't have even noticed, I don't think. Was not, I wouldn't say it's definitely, there was one other time where we were stuck on a runway for like 3 hours and that felt like people were coming unglued. I couldn't even freak out because people were freaking out too bad. But outside of that, worst flight I've ever been on, no question.
100%. And I also want to say something. I feel like we're typically treated pretty well when we're in our business class seats, right? If Delta treats everybody the way they treated us in main cabin, it's insane that they're still an airline. This lady all but threw shit at me.
She's throwing stuff at us multiple times.
And it's like, you have nowhere to go for the record.
She dropped the coffee from a foot up. I'm not joking. Yeah. Like, it was like this, if she's this high, she dropped it the rest of the way.
And when I would hand her...
Because I went, whoa, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand, why were they in such a hurry?
Dude, they were in such... Exactly, I was going to say, they're in such a hurry. Where are they going?
The whole time. That's the whole...
Turbulence, hot, cold, because we're in the back. Also, when they cook all the curry, we're just living in a curry smell.
The first time that they started to cook the, like, halal meals or whatever, I was like, I'm going to die. I can't... It smells like burnt, number one.
Yeah, just
the top note is burnt. The bottom note is, like, bottom of the barrel curry. Like if you know when you cook curry for a long time and it gets kind of sticky and fucked up on the edges, it's like only that stuff was in it.
You know?
And it was just so miserable. I was sitting there with like my face like this being like I can't breathe.
Well, you're so smell sensory. Yeah. Also, you know, the girl sitting on the window seat next to me, I would take her shit when she was going to hand it to the lady because there's no way the lady could reach. But you know, like if I were to hand you like a book, but
t-shirt gun it into her face. The way they were behaving.
Well, you know, if I were to hand you, say, a tray, right? And then you go to snatch it, but I have my hand on it still because I'm trying to make sure, like, there's a clean handoff, she would all but fucking yank it out of my fucking hands. It was insane. It was insane and
she
very
threw
unfortunate.
It like a fucking Australian frisbee. You know what I mean? Like a fucking boomerang. Just all boom.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
It sucked. It sucked bad.
Really sucked.
I mean, if it was just like the whole time I was just sitting there, I'm like, I just want to be back at 4 p.m. I just want to be back at 100%. I just want to be back at a normal time.
Yep.
You know?
Which I will say, we ultimately did. The flight sucked. We got spit on by Delta pretty bad. The next flight was fine. I didn't feel any which way about it. The one coming home.
It was nothing. It
was fine. We went through security for in Minnesota. You know, first off, customs is a shit show. They had 4 employees, so that's government layoffs.
There's like 400 people, and practice. Like I mean, there was like lines like you can't imagine.
Like a room as big as our studio filled to the brim with people who all just got off flights, and there's just 4 grumpy guys. But anyway,
this was the energy when I went through customs, and this seemed to be the overall energy. So if you're trying to get things through customs right now, you're probably fine.
Now's the time,
because I walked through, and he goes, He goes, "Where were you?" And I went, Tokyo. And he goes, "Okay." And I was like, "The fuck? You're asking the questions." And then he just goes, "All right, you're good." And I was like, "What are we even doing here? Yeah. You needed to ask me that? You saw my ticket." So I would say if you're trying to sneak some stuff right now, you're probably good. They ain't paying attention. At least not in Minnesota, they're not.
Do you remember the kid at the security gate? And I go, "Is this good?" And the thing, and he goes,
"Oh yeah."
Throws his arms up. He didn't give up.
Yeah, there was a final security checkpoint, and he's like, "Do I take this out of order?" And he goes, "You're like, you're the only person that would know."
A big sigh and shrug his shoulders at me. I'm like,
"You have a shirt with epaulets on right now. Yeah. Like, who else would know this information?"
Absolutely nuts, man. So anyway, I am just so happy to be home. Got home. Really, the next 2 days, I was just in a coma, in and out of sleep hard. Wake up at 2, go out to the living room, watch some TV, go back to bed at 4, wake up at 7, I'm up. You know what I mean? Just got on top
luckily,
of me.
We are moving things around in our house, so the house was insane, and Abby needed me to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you ran a lot of errands,
I basically hit the ground running.
Yeah.
So I still don't feel okay.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I've been waking up tired. But, you know, it like we always say, travel makes you feel fonder or something. I like our life. I like work, and I like my house and my little garden and shit and whatnot. So did you do anything fun over the weekend?
No, I just moved stuff. I moved stuff from downstairs to upstairs.
Yeah, what you guys are running though?
We ran errands too. And it was just like one of those days where it's like, this is taking an eternity to do the stupidest things you've ever thought of. Yeah. It felt like it took 6 hours of just driving here and driving there. Yeah. Fucking car is not working. We're dealing with that.
Yeah, you guys got rocked because
it just stopped working.
Chevy, dude.
I'm maybe done.
What do you mean?
Just done.
Well, are you guys gonna keep the Chevy, or are you looking to trade in?
I don't know what we're doing.
Because it's
getting fixed now, so we're gonna spend the money to fix it.
It'll up the value, and then if you wanted to trade it in, you could. You know what I mean?
I don't care. I'm gonna fucking put it in a lake just to prove a point.
That would be tight, dude. Mm-hmm. We could do that. We could run it off Canyon, get it cooking 20 miles an hour. I'll roll out in some hockey gear.
Yeah. All right. Probably get enough YouTube views that that'll cover the cost of the new car.
Yeah, or at least a down payment. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would love to run a scam like that, dude. I'll
just say a hockey player stole my car. I got video of it. I'm saying your name the whole time.
My college girlfriend, her dad was like a wild man. He was a drinker. And like a true, you put this dude out in the woods, he'd be just fine. You know what I mean? He'd figure it out. Not that he's particularly skilled, but I just think if he needed to eat some leaves and dirt and shit, he'd be just fine.
Some people are really wired for alcohol different than I am, because I drink alcohol and it's like, well, time to go to bed or time to get a headache for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Some people drink it and they just become energized.
Well, I know a couple fellas like that who could drink. The only reason they would stop drinking is not because they felt ill. It was because their body reached a point where they weren't able to physically stand up, do nothing. But again, they weren't sleeping. They just had reached a point where their body, they were catatonic. You know what I mean? But my college girlfriend's dad, he was very seriously considering burning his house down for an insurance scam. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I remember thinking I'll help you out with that, dude. I think I got a grasp on this. I think we can make it happen. So anyway, and a scam to drop your car into the river up Canyon or something.
I think that if you and I knew how to be involved in like a gang or the mafia, I think we would have been really great at it because sort of into doing that kind of thing. There's no special education. Maybe
it's just about figuring it out.
And being willing to do whatever someone told you. Because the thing is, too, I feel like in my mind, if I got in trouble, I'd be like, he told me to do it.
Dude.
And I would be off the hook, which I know is not the case. No. But I think it takes that kind of blind stupidity to do those type of tasks. But I don't think anyone would want us because we're too eager.
Yeah, we're too eager. I'd ask too many questions.
Yeah.
What's for lunch?
Yeah.
What'd you and your wife
cover it yourself.
That's tight. So
just us driving around like a black Continental around Brooklyn with you bothering me about where to eat lunch at the whole time.
When did
most
when
annoying
did that
mafia
happen?
couple ever.
When did Lincolns become luxury? Lincoln Continental, right?
I don't know. I'm just talking about like the cars they drive in,
well,
Goodfellas and stuff.
The reason I ask, there probably is a through line because in Succession they drive
There was a big trunk, so you could put bodies in it or guns or whatever they were doing. Bats with barbed wire around the outside.
I can say fruit bats. Yeah, got a lot of those
bats. You mishear the information.
I'm like, it's really cool that you guys
go in the trunk and get the bats. You come out with your arm. There's 2 bats hanging off of them. What am I gonna do with those?
My grandma would tell me. I remember as a kid, she'd be like, "God, I saw a bunch of bats last night," and I couldn't. I was thinking baseball bats, and I was like, "The neighbors are putting them out by the trees, or what is going on that I'm not understanding?"
The neighbors are putting them out by the trees.
Click this, just regular live bats, flying bats. Mm-hmm. Cool. So nothing to report from the weekend. Nothing eventful outside of bullshit events, which is
there was a bunch of bullshit, but that's it. It was just bullshit.
I didn't do much of nothing either.
Munch of nothing.
I planted a bunch of seeds for the year. Uh-huh. If you listen back to the beginning of last year, I am tempering my expectations slightly, having the poor experience I had last year with my seed starting. Mm-hmm. But
Hamlet-esque performance that we're about to see over the
drama.
Yeah. The drama. A Summer's Tale.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see, dude.
We're about to have so many cucumbers in this fucking bitch. and then literally two months in, oh, yeah, those all died. And then you suddenly don't want to talk about it. Every time you bring it up, you can tell you're mad.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah. It's cool. It's
cool. It doesn't matter. I know what to do next time. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's fucking annoying.
You doing me is tight because you're pretty spot on. But no, I started a bunch of seeds. That's about it, dude. That's literally all I have to report. Nothing else. Yeah.
Well, bag of bullshit. Back to it.
Bag of bullshit. But I mean, shit. So we are having this new segment idea where we're gonna still have our interviews, and we've got an interview scheduled for next week. So we'll have a guest next week. But I thought it would be fun to interview folks that either work for companies we stock or the owners or the designers or what have you. But
I mean, in a lot of cases, we've interviewed some of these people. Like in this case, we've interviewed this person before.
Yeah.
And I think we had a really good conversation, and you'll see that we can kind of get right back into it. But we also felt like let's give this special shine so it can be more about something, a bit more specific.
What's your intention? You know what I mean? What were you thinking when you did this for this season or for this collaboration or this choice you made, et cetera, et cetera? So we have this
Matthew
is our first
from Cowgirl.
Our first segment is Matthew from Cowgirl.
Yeah. We have an upcoming collaboration that we're going to speak on, so I'll let us do that in the talk. But we cover this in there, but just so you know, it's gonna pre-release to Patreon like it always does Thursday, and then full release on Friday. Normally we say this has been in the works for a while, but this hasn't been in the works for a while. This was like an idea, and we'll talk about it in the interview. But it was an idea that was just like, what do you think? It was just, we're 100% on board. We love it. And then we just like made it happen. So it was really fun in that like sometimes it's just easy like that, especially if you're like really comfortable with the person you're collaborating with. And we
really like him. He's really easy to be around.
He drops by every time he's around. So we comes by, we talk for 3-4 hours, and then,
just easy.
And we realize, oh shit, we don't anymore, he's got to go. And so it's always really natural working with him in any way, shape, or form, and easy. So it's fun.
So I guess we'll just go ahead and hop right into that.
Yep.
And then we'll be back.
Cool. All right. How are we?
Our Midwestern boy.
Doing good. Dude, still not back in the Midwest, though. I'm stuck out here in Northwest Montana.
Oh.
Now here I'm a trader.
Oh, a trader?
I'm a trader to the Midwest. I'm enjoying myself up here in the tall trees.
Hey.
Well, what's got you out there? Last time we talked to you, and I feel like every time that you stop through, it's a new adventure. Last time you were transporting a truck.
Yeah, I bought a Toyota Tacoma in Murray, Kentucky, which is the furthest point in Kentucky from anything possible. So I ended up driving it out for him, and I took it up through Colorado, of course, to stop and see my favorite fellas. And I just like to do a lot of road tripping. I like to do, anytime it's halfway convenient, I try and make time to do it. And this time my dad needed a truck driven out to Montana, and I kind of RSVP'd myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's my parents moved up to Montana maybe a year or so ago, and they're up here. They're really up in the top left corner. So I'm kind of coming out here as much as I can.
What are you doing on these trips? Because I spent a lot of time on the road in like my 20s. Like I used to do a lot of like wholesale event things. So I've driven Chicago to Austin a million times, Chicago to upstate New York. I'm trying to think. You name it. Like it's like I've put in a lot of miles, and then I played with bands. Like I've done a lot of in car trips.
You've also driven to and from here multiple times since moving here. Yeah.
Like I've done I've put some miles down. I don't love it. And actually I'd say the last time I did a road trip, it was with my kid. To be fair, she was very small and it was a lot, you know what I mean? It was a lot of hours on the road, but I literally would put a cap on it. I'm like, that was it. I think that might have been my last one for at least 10 years because it was rough country. What is it that's appealing to you about it?
Dude, honestly, it's the idea factory for me. It's it's kind of my only time without work, I'm freelancing a lot. I do a lot of Cowgirl stuff, and it kind of, I don't know. People act like it turns off, but I don't really think it does. You're either actively working on your laptop or you're off the laptop thinking about working. And it's like the road is like the one force where you're like, you really can't, you kind of have to be there. Can't really be.
I wonder if you have a similar thing to me where it's like half the reason for going to the gym or hiking, obviously there's health stuff to that, but I take a lot of very long showers, and I like being on an airplane generally, although we just got off a rough one. But generally speaking, I like all that stuff because you sort of get locked in to where it's like, I don't really have access to Wi-Fi properly in this situation. Right. And it's like, not that I'm not working when I'm doing that. I am working, but I think there's two different versions of working, which I'm sure you get, which is like, there's like this active working where I'm, typing and stressed and doing a bunch of stuff. Doing work. But it's like, nothing is happening. Like I don't go home and feel like, even if I got a lot done, I don't feel like, all right, I accomplished a lot. I accomplished a lot when I do occasionally, and should do it more, step away and then have, but I'm not good with, I just get distracted very easily. So it's like just taking a regular walk around town. It's like, well, someone's gotta be spiraling, you know what I mean? So I take that on. But if I'm like if I'm in a setting like shower, hike, airplane, where it's like I'm where I'm supposed to be doing the thing I'm supposed to do, but I have access to nothing, and I'm fine with my general, it's like, you get bored fast, and I think that's when you start to get like good ideas.
It's like the last boredom, and I talk a lot about how I talk with my friends a lot about how like it's just such a like kind of a, it seems maybe not lost, but on the way out form of travel. And I don't know. I feel like even the airport is kind of Instagramified. Everything is so fast. Everything is so check the app, check the email, and I don't know. People are traveling, I guess, but it's not as open, it's not as like, I mean, fuck, dude, you're doing a 36-hour drive. It's me, the dog, my brain, and the gas station attendants. It's there's not a lot to work with. And I think that's kind of the magic of it. I don't know. I understand it's pretty crazy to ask of someone like, dude, just like go out, do a road trip, drive for 1,000 hours, like it's pretty hectic to, I don't know, to try and like talk someone else into, but at the same time, it's kind of where everything comes from. The first 2 hours where you're stuck without the phone. And I understand you have your phone on you, but I'm talking deep scrolling, no deep scrolling, no 32-inch monitor kind of bullshit. You're really out there and you're kind of stuck with your thoughts, and I don't know, it could be good or bad, I guess, depending on the person. But for me, it's kind of like the one time where I'm, the ideas are rolling.
Yeah. I feel like I'm just so naturally squirrely. You know what I mean? Like just doing stuff all the time, moving a lot. And it's like it does lock you into a place where you're like, I got to kind of like figure out how to actively meditate in this situation.
Yes. Because you're stuck there. There's no speeding it up. Right. I mean, I guess you can kind of speed it up, but not by much.
Yeah, it's within what 10 or 15 miles per hour is what you can really Yeah, so it's like I do miss that like meditative state you get in with it, but there's also that like inevitable panic when you're in the middle of the night. You're like, there ain't nothing for no. I mean, I remember obviously going through Ohio is very miserable, where it's just like, especially at night, there's just nothing, nowhere to stop, nowhere to look. You start getting panicky because you're like, fuck, I hope nothing happens. It's like there's a lot there. Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Start looking at the gas. Start looking at the last oil change. Start
doing a lot of like boy math, you know, of like, I think if I understand this correctly, I can get to
right.
Yeah. I do sort of miss it. I don't think I have enough distance from the time, and like I did a lot of it when I was younger. But there is also something nice where I know you're doing a lot of it alone, which I guess I haven't done as much of. I was normally with somebody, but it would be a lot of like just two guys not talking for 6 hours. You know what I mean? Where like you have like you speak, but there's no words. You know?
I mean,
yeah.
Matt, we just came home from Tokyo, Timothy and I, and we'll save you the whole story. I'm sure we'll talk about it. We have to record a pod after this, but we were sitting next to each other on the flight, which we don't typically do because we just grab two singles but we didn't talk for the whole 11 and a half hours, bro. I think we stood up once, looked at each other, and was like, man, fuck this. We're never
that's
again.
Yeah. There's a companionship that you get to in life from travel, I think, exclusively. Because why else would I be spending 12 hours with him? You know what I mean? In one setting, because we're adults. You know, we're be having a sleepover. You know, so it is like an interesting like thing where you're just like, yeah, I think you get comfortable with a person when you stop needing to talk to them all the time, which is like, you know, kind of like you get to that sweet spot in marriage at some point where you can go out to dinner and it's like, I don't have anything to say that you don't already know. You know what I mean? There's nothing new has happened, and that's all right. We can just be quiet, which is maybe nicer.
Yeah.
So it is. I do think it all. I think that's sort of what I was getting at is like, you don't. Less and less you have to challenge yourself mentally in life. Do you know what I mean? Like I think that like you know like phones make it so you really don't ever have to be bored, and like 60% of the time that's cool as hell. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to. I don't need to discredit the internet and phones and technology to understand that there's also a huge advantage to being bored or like not having constant dopamine hits and things like that. But but yeah, it's like there's not a lot of that lock-in time where you're like, fuck, I got nothing. I mean, you know, like even if you exercise and stuff, you got headphones now. It's like you listen to a podcast, you listen to a book, you listen to music. You're entertained like all the time.
Right. Which I don't know. I mean, as someone I do Cowgirl completely alone, and it's all my ideas. So you start to have that kind of the back of the brain fear where you kind of go like, is this drying up? Yeah. You know, you go a few weeks without thinking about a line sheet or a concept, and you kind of start to go like, fuck, how many of these am I good for? And the road is sort of my one, you know, it's sort of like the well for me where I'm like, it's the, I don't know, it's always kind of pulled through for me. And the best part is that there's no intention necessarily, but it's sort of my only time where I don't sit down to do something specifically. And I try my best not to go like, you know, the road trip starts. I try my best not to go like, where are they? Come on. You know, like this is where they come from. They better start coming.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's like you said, I don't know. I'm not talking to anyone. I usually bring my dog. And I can, you know, sometimes I can talk someone into something, but not a lot of people have a work schedule like I do. You know, it sounds pretty insane to explain to a friend like, yo, come to Montana with me. I'm going from Ohio. We'll stop in Boulder. They go like, what the fuck do you think I do all day?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's pretty crazy to talk someone into that, but I don't know. I like doing it alone. And I think it's like it's a good exercise, good patience grower, you know, all that sort of stuff.
You know, I think Chase and I have talked about this before, but I also think there's sort of this. I'm gonna try to breeze past the political implications of this, but I think that everyone feels very these days. you're either on one side of the fence or on another side of the fence in life. Do you know what I mean? And there's just this like, well, these people are this way and I'm this way. And it feels, and I think that the nice thing when you travel and you see like truly like middle of nowhere places, you know what I mean? Like I'm thinking like Gas City in Indiana, where it's like, it's literally named after the fact that it's got like 2 gas stations and that's their economy. You know what I mean? And you really see like normal people a lot, way more than maybe normal. You know what I mean? Like it's just, this is just random cities all over the place. And you kind of realize, yeah, maybe we don't maybe politically have the same ideals, but these are just like, it's just people doing life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really like that, where it's like, it just feels so much more grounded and regular. And it's like, I think it helps you be like, this isn't like, you know, 2 different animals on a different side of a fence. You know what I mean? Where it's like, we're both angry. It's like, you kind of remove the fence and you realize that like, oh, you're just like people trying to like not be depressed and die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's really nice healthy. And humbling. Yeah, exactly.
I think it's really healthy to see. And I just was talking about this on my Substack the other day. I think there's something that's, I don't know, refreshing is the wrong word, but truly maybe healthy is the best way to put it, that you get so deep into your own circle that everything is Visvim and Rolex and denim and, you know, whatever. You like Aesop. I don't know, like the craziest shit. You're like into your own soap. And you go out and you see these people who didn't know that there was 2 brands of soap. And that's not to call them stupid. I'm just talking function over form. You know, they're a very functional group of people. That's definitely what Montana is. It's not these pants look better. It's these ones perform better and they were cheaper, you know, and they were at Costco for $32. If you spend over 40, you're a fool. And it's just such a different mindset that I'm all for it. You know what I mean? I think it just kind of expands your, I don't know, your perspective on that sort of stuff. And I welcome it. I don't know. I think a lot of people are kind of like, that's not my people. I live in LA. I'm not going to Bakersfield. That's wrong. They like that. Like you said, like they get into they're this way, I'm that way. And I'm begging for it, dude. Like I want to be in Manhattan and then I want to go to Poughkeepsie. I don't know, whatever. And then it's like, you want to be in all of the weird spots. I don't know. I just think it's good to see both sides.
Yeah. Well, because I think it's very humbling, and it's also because you're like, yeah, all the stupid shit I'm into is dumb.
It's so silly,
and that's okay,
right?
You know, and all the stupid shit they're into is dumb too. You know what I mean? Like, dude, and that's okay. And it's like, and it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, you're just 2 people. You know what I mean? And that's fine. And I also think that there's probably a lot to gain from like things that other people say, and there's a lot to gain from the things I do. But here's what's not going to happen. If I don't go into Bakersfield because they act like this, it's like, cool, well, you're not going to change any minds that way. You know what I mean? So we're in the same position we're at, you know, and then it just gets further and further, and it sucks.
And you're not going to make any friends that way either, you know? And then the fucked up thing is you go to the restaurant there, you go to the gas station there, and they're cool as hell.
Yeah.
Just like you thought they wouldn't be. They're normal folk, you know, and they're just people being people. I think it's fucking sick. Like especially out here, there's no choice. You know, in some cities, let me think of an example. There is a stump town and a black rifle, if you will, or you know what I'm saying? There's some places can kind of play both sides, but Montana's got one way or the highway.
Yeah.
And if you're not driving a jacked up Chevy at 99 miles an hour, you know, you're kind of getting run over. But I don't know. I think it's good to be in all walks of it, you know?
Yeah. I think just pulling a little bit of everything is sort of what's interesting about the, you know, culture as a whole. I mean, just ignoring aspects of your entire, like, you know, the American culture as a whole is very stupid, and it's also very limited, and it's like, it's only going to make you more interesting to at least have some perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's,
it's like main character syndrome. Like you said, drive from here to Ohio, you'll pass through 150 towns you've never heard of that have a bunch of people with multiple schools, multiple different high schools, and all of those people have interests and things that they've taken in and experienced in the world that, like you said, it has nothing to do with Visvim, dude. You know, I'm always thinking about things here in Boulder, but Boulder is even more so than anything else we've mentioned. It feels like a bubble and so anomalous from the rest of the world. But it's cool to get out there and get a different perspective. We just drove to Phoenix like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, and I'd never been down there. And one, it's pretty remarkable how little there is between here and there. Certainly as you hit like Arizona and shit, but yeah, man, just a completely different walk of life where there's millions and millions of people between here and there that don't know about Boulder and know about the things that I take so seriously every day. So
right. But it's not to. I'm not trying to, to belittle our fun little interests we have, but it's like I think it's it gets you away from them and it kind of makes you appreciate them more. You kind of go like, I kind of like my little thing I'm into, my little my embroideries, my fucking patches. I don't know, like your little things you're into become so goofy when you see someone who works in a oil field, and then they become less goofy when you see someone that wears them and looks cool. I don't know. It's just fun to like, the both sides theory is kind of where I'm at.
How do you deal with, just to go back to like you were talking about process for a minute, like how do you deal with like, I think quite a bit of how I operate, and it's just, maybe it's a function of just the situation I'm in or just that it's how I know how to operate, but we're so team oriented. Do you know what I mean? Like it's so much like, I don't think any one idea is, you can maybe draw it back to kind of one person, but honestly, if like at the same time, if I were to say, hey Chase, here's an idea, what do you think? And he's like, I don't know, man. I'd probably just move on from it and not think much about it. Whereas like, maybe sometimes there's a good idea that he goes, well, that's great. What if we did it like this too? And I'm like, yeah, that's cool too. Now it's like a bigger thing. Right. It's more people's ideas. And I think there's a lot of pros to that, and there's a lot of cons. I mean, I think you end up, design by committee happens, and you make a camel a lot. But I think that, so I think there's pros and cons. Like, what do you like? I can't imagine myself right now having to just go, here's the idea. I'm going to handle the whole idea, the execution, the everything. But that's what you're doing. You know what I mean? Right. It's just so far beyond right now the way we've sort of learned to do things around here. Do you like it, or do you feel like it's like that's like is that the toughest part or the easiest part? Because I could see it going either way,
Well, I like the opportunity. When someone reaches out looking for a graphic or looking for some help direction-wise, I like it. I'm not anti-team. But I was thinking about this last night. I think that maybe for your situation, you have an idea. Someone says, that ain't it. It gets canned. And in my hellscape of a brain, I have an idea. I go, I don't know. And it kind of gets put back in the maybe jar, which I don't know. It kind of goes both ways, but I've learned to sort of go in a backwards way because I don't have a demand of deliverables, right? So in my mind, you guys have a lot of output, which is impressive as hell. Like you're constantly, there's a thing that needs said, and this is how we're going to do it. Whereas I don't have the overhead of like demand for things to say. I can kind of go 3 weeks without posting or not release something and no one really considers it, which has allowed me to go, I guess in my mind, backwards creatively, where I can have an idea, not be completely sold on it in the moment, and then store it and go, what that would work well for is this. I used to think about making a geographic hat location, like it would be fun to make a hat for a state, right? Like I had that one forever. And it wasn't until I talked to you guys about making something that I wanted to make this hat. And I thought, oh shit, that idea that I didn't necessarily throw away 2 years ago would apply really great here. And it's just been kind of simmering for a long time. Yeah. I think the hard part about working with a team is, especially if you work with like a big dog, got all the answers kind of guy, you say, what about this? They say no. And you go, I'm sorry I ever asked. Whereas there's sort of no wrong answer in my mind. So I go, this could be cool. I don't know. Back burner. 2 years later, I'm talking to you guys and I'm like, oh shit, doing a hat, doing whatever, doing a shirt. I don't know, making a painting about something like this would make sense with these guys. I'll reach out, and that's sort of the way it always works. It's very seldom like, I want to do a project with Canoe Club. Fuck, what can we do? Oh man, I have to think of something right now. It's always coming from the maybe pile. Yeah. Just finding a better home for that, maybe.
Yeah. Creatively finding what works for you is really, weird because I wouldn't say that like if I were to guess, knowing the things I know about myself and then saying like, how do you want to work? I wouldn't guess that knowing myself that like black or white works for me, but that weirdly does because I kind of need to walk away from things a lot. You know what I mean? I need to go, here's an idea. Right. I don't know. Okay, fuck it. Move on. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's easier for me. And I go, well, let me just start spinning on something new rather than going, but what about, so that's just like what, and then I think because I've been forced to work in a team because you kind of are, especially if we're growing and we need more people and I need more hands, it just is what it is. More people's opinions get in there. And like, especially the way we've worked, we've always been very like open, and I desire that people jump in when they hear things or have thoughts. Doesn't mean every single thing gets done because you can't do that. You got to make calls, but you do get a lot of feedback, and that can be good or bad. I mean, there's been plenty of times where it's been like super helpful, and then there's been plenty of times where I'm like, please shut the hell up, because if I don't, if I'm already second guessing myself, I can't have you jump in right now, And so it's a tough thing where it's like I think. Most of the time I'm like, oh, it's a huge blessing and super helpful. And then there's sometimes where I'm like, ugh, I wish I could have just in a vacuum run this one into the ground. So over time, I've just learned that like I don't have that luxury. So I got to find a different way, and then you just do it a different way. But I also, I think a lot about, I wish things were a little less black and white sometimes, like you're saying, where it's like it all kind of lives in that gray area of that's maybe, I don't know, maybe I just don't have the hook yet on it. You know what I mean? I mean, I think that's how I always felt when I played music. You just kind of mill around on a guitar for hours and you're like, there's like something there, but I don't know what it is. I'll just, you know what I mean? And then you do that little riff every time you pick up the guitar for a little while. And then one day it just goes, boom, it makes sense. I know exactly how this should sound. And then you can build it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But like
you find the positioning for it.
I mean, I think what you might have, the equation I think is probably not just the black or white of the ideas. It's actually more complicated in that you have the variable of time. And if you've got a lot of time, like you're saying, where you don't have to operate under specific deadlines necessarily because it's just you have that luxury to like, you don't really have to black or white anything. Everything's just gray because it can be.
Right. And it feels like the time to, I don't know. And a lot of times I don't develop ideas further. It's all just positioning. The idea could be done right away. And I could go, I don't know about using that there. And then when it goes into the bank of potential stuff, and you have literally 3 years to find a position for that to make sense, and I think that it's, I don't know. It feels like what you're saying with black and white does make a lot more sense for someone who has a literal list of shit that like we have to speak on behalf of this release, this brand, this new thing, et cetera, et cetera. You guys have such a tall order of things to speak on that it does make sense to me that you would say like, yes or no, it's live tomorrow, pick one. And I don't know. I think that freedom, when you said, is it good or bad? Is it whatever? I think it goes both ways though, because a lot of the time when there is, it really forces you to kind of develop your own sense of like, yes, this is a final thing that I'm willing to go public with, because it is really hard sometimes to go, it looks cool. I mean, that's, you can make a million shirt graphics and then it kind of leaves you up to be, to be the decider of like, is this something that I want to not only pay to produce, but like kind of put my name on and go public. And what I've found best kind of cuts through that is my new formula that I'm working on. It's it's good or special. And I try to run everything through that. And I don't know if that's helpful to anyone hearing this, but it truly is. I don't know. I think that the more that I look at Instagram and the more that I take in other brands, the more that I'm trying to sharpen this, way of telling the difference between, is it good or is it truly special? And I think that especially in the age of mood board brands where every third Instagram thing you see is like, oh, it's like Ralph Lauren. Oh, it's like whatever. And to me, those things are good. Sure. Yeah, it looks good. It's not that hard to find like a sick photographer that shoots on medium format film and will do it really well. And, and I'm not saying that stuff is easy to produce, but it just kind of sits in my mind as good. And I go, it's good. That's cool. And it takes something really, really crazy to make me stop now, because there's so much good. There's a million good things
makes
out there,
money. Good makes money. That's the reality.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And it's like those things feed the algorithm, the algorithm. Those things get likes, people see them and likely go, oh, it's like Ralph Lauren, but cheaper, or it's like ALD, but it's not sold out, or whatever, and that's sick. If that's paying the bills and getting the fucking clicks, then awesome. But it's like I said, I don't, I have other outlets of producing work for money that I try to let Cowgirl really and truly be that one thing that's like, I'm not going to go there for the paycheck. I try and produce the paycheck elsewhere. So Cowgirl can be my special thing where it's like, I really do love this idea. Will I lose money to it? Who knows? Doesn't matter, because it's not really paying the bills, and I want to keep it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that I think about kind of that relationship with making things and putting things out there. In that, like, when we went through COVID, we had to make certain choices because the store closed. There's a lot of uncertainty that I'm sure people kind of have just moved on from, because it's trauma. But if you think about it now, you go, man, fuck, I had to make a lot of decisions very fast on what we wanted to produce and how we wanted to be different, because everything was changing at a, light speed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, I think that's where some of this, like, sometimes the black and white thing helps me, where it's just like, well, you don't have a choice. If you're going to move forward, you got to make a choice, and then you got to just keep going, and you got to keep going.
Right.
And like the one thing we just decided, the easiest thing was like, here's the thing we're going to give up that sucks, is we're going to lose the in-store experience for a little while, maybe forever. We didn't know at the time. You know what I mean? And if that's going to be the case, that's what people will miss. You know what I mean? People will miss just being around regular people. And then when you're in person, you talk and you make mistakes while you're talking and say stupid shit, or start talking about random stuff. And that's just okay. And that's what makes things personal and closer. And when I started thinking about that, I'm like, really, I think what that is, it's if you're putting output out there kind of before you're ready, which I think that if you're any sort of artist or whatever you want to call yourself, you know what I mean? Like, I like to paint, and when I look at things, I think the only times I make anything good is when I go, just keep moving forward, don't stare at it. If you stare at it, you're going to fuck it up. You know what I mean? You got to just keep moving. Right. I'm all about just output. This is just me personally too. Everyone's different. Like, but it's just like, if I just keep moving forward and I put things out there, a lot of it I'll think is just okay. And then one thing you're like, fuck, that's great. I figured something out because I just kept moving forward. And like, as we started to put things out there, you start to be like, no, I think actually what makes this special is that I didn't polish the shit out of it. I didn't obsess over it. We didn't obsess over editing. We didn't obsess over, was the sound perfect? We didn't obsess, do we have all the perfect equipment? Do we have this? Do we have that? It was just, we need to do this. And so we're going to do it. And then, are we going to look dumb? Are we going to sometimes not know exactly the right words to say? Are we going to stumble over things? Or are we going to have a conversation, he and I, about something totally separate because that's what we're thinking about or joking about in the moment? Sure.
Right.
And is that perfect? Nope. But like, I think in the same way, I look back at some of the things, and look, not all of it, because sometimes you look back and you're like, God, I wish they would take that one down. But,
right.
But at the same time, you go, that's special, because it's like, that's a moment in time that was us being sincerely ourselves, doing the best with what we had in the moment and just putting it out there. And like, I think doing that does make the stuff special, because it's sort of that wabi-sabi approach to just like, who gives a shit, man? Like, I think that if they don't like us because we didn't have the perfect mic or we didn't say the right thing at the right time, then fuck them. You know what I mean? Like, then that's not, then they're not for us. You know what I mean?
It's there's plenty of that out there in the first place.
Yeah,
for sure.
And it was always something that I didn't think like a bigger brand was going to do, because you spend too much time polishing every single thing. And it's like, but if I think about what's true to me, it's like, that's not the type of houses I like to be in. That's not the type of art I like. That's not the type of music I appreciate. Whatever you want to bring it in. It's like, I like when it's a little messy. I think that's what makes it human and cool and interesting. And so it's like, it's a tough thing to do, like to like just let it loose, or like actually like keep polishing. You know what I mean? Like, that's now the trick now, when it's like, you're like, well, we've got the time, we could do it more, but is that going to make it better or worse? And I think a lot of the times it probably makes it worse, to be honest with you.
Right.
You know?
But it seems like you guys keep it pretty tight. Like, you guys have enough on the plate schedule wise that you kind of sort of can force it in a way, right? Like, I'm assuming you guys have enough stuff going on that it's not really an option to click between A and B for 24 hours and go,
no, I mean, we don't have the luxury of time. That's the reality. Right. And the other thing is I just don't believe in standing over the putt, because I don't think you're going to, I think by the time I've made a mistake and put something out there, I've learned 3 things and can adjust for the next one before someone's put out the first one. So that's like, in my opinion, especially when you're a small brand or you're the team, like we kind of keep our team as small as possible on purpose, because for that reason, exactly. I just think it forces you to learn stuff faster. So you just plow forward and you go, I didn't know what I was doing, but I'll figure it out. I only know if I do it, so, everything else is unknown. So it's in if you don't know, you don't know things. So we just try to keep doing our thing and going forward. And you have, you tighten up systems and you try to get better. I mean, I want to be better. Of course we do,
Right.
But I don't know. You make mistakes as like, if you look at it like a cost analysis thing, it's like the mistake you made, it's done and over with, and you learned something and you moved on. How much would you pay to have that information in the first place? It's probably double. So technically in my my boy math again, I've saved money by just barreling forward,
Right. And I think about that a lot. Had I started what I do with the understanding of like how to polish it in the first place, I probably wouldn't have started it. You know what I'm saying? Had I had the right things in place, and had I even known what you could have in place, I would have gone, well, I'll do it once this is in place. But I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was just like, it's driving range mentality. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have anything to do with getting good at golf. I just wanted to go to the driving range.
Yeah, like what fun is it? That ball.
Dude, especially like what fun is it when someone goes like, hey, you're pretty good at the driving range. Now let's figure out how to play the real game of golf for the next 36 years. And you're like, that's not what I was here for. I was here to, like you said, smash it.
Yeah.
For fun. And I don't know. And that's what I try and keep. I'm not saying go blind, I'm not trying to encourage people to do like ignorant shit with investments, but it's like, I try and at least keep that in the art production side of things, and when it comes time to like make line sheets or sell this or that, obviously probably a little smarter to be a little well-rounded in everything. But I don't know, like you said, that lack of polish, that just in it for the fun is, I don't know. I think that for me is where the magic happens, and I try and keep it like that.
I have a firm belief that people see that and understand it. The right people do. So who cares? And if like you're saying, if you're trying to make something not just good, but something special, the stuff we do, I think, resonates with people more than a super polished video. You could be like, well, it's a really pretty video, but like beyond that, I just kind of move beyond it. You know what I mean? It's, it's par for the course. I assume it's at a certain level because they have a certain amount of money, but it doesn't resonate. I don't think about it again after the fact. I mean, very rarely.
Right. It's good.
So,
right?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. All right, so I think that I should have known that we probably could have gone way longer, because every time you stop by, we end up talking for a few hours. So, but let's get to it, because we wanted to bring on and talk about the collaboration, which we've sort of alluded to a little bit here. How did you? I mean, like you said, you sort of like this was a.
It was in the maybe
idea.
jar.
It was a maybe jar idea that you because I think you kind of just hit me up like out of the blue and was like, "What do you think?" And I was like, we move, like I said, and then we do what we do and move fast. We're like, "Sick, let's do it."
Run it. Yeah.
So before we get into that, you guys are top 3 people to collaborate with ever. I have to say, in a way of direction, in a way of speed. I think a lot of people, kind of going back to the driving range thing, I think a lot of people naturally go, yeah, maybe. And I kind of go like, well, why maybe? Here's a concept. I think this is a home run. Check it out. If you don't have to, right? Like if you don't want to, you're like, this sucks, then tell me it sucks and I'll fuck off. But there's nothing more special to me than when someone comes to me with an idea, and it's just like, why the waiting is so strange to me, where you're like, let's revisit this in 6 months. And you're like, but for what? There's no reason to, if everyone's psyched on it. I just think there's like a natural inclination that
you're talking about
kind of like,
Matt, you're talking about business talk, and I hate business talk. And here's what I mean by that. I hate when it's like, we're not talking about what we really need to talk about. It's so much, it's the same thing in life. I think this goes across the board philosophically to me, where it's like, if we were talking about what we're supposed to be talking about, then it's not a problem. If you're just like, love the idea, don't have the cash right now. And then it's like, oh, now we're talking, now we're having a real conversation where you understand where I'm coming from and I understand where you're coming from. Or if I just say, the idea is not quite for me, man. Like, I think that like it just doesn't work, for what we're looking to do right now, where it doesn't kind of fit into like what our ethos is today. But let's come back to it. Well, then I'm just being honest with you. In business emails, what you do is you lie constantly, and it drives me up the wall. Where it's like, I would so much rather just tell me what the real thing is, and then we can move straight on from it. It's so much easier.
Absolutely, dude. And if people deny my ideas all the time, but that's kind of one of the only skills I came into Cowgirl with, was like the being naive to the fact that anyone like had an ego. I didn't know who the big dogs were or like the big players. I was just it's just kind of like a guy trying to sell ideas to people. And I don't know, every so often one goes through without hiccups, and it's so much fun, and it's even more fun when they go fast, because I think people, I don't know, like you said, it's kind of nonsense business talk. And I think the other side of that is that people think that something will come around that's better if we sit on it for long enough. And the problem with that with me is that I'll get bored of it and can it before anyone even gets back if it takes too long. I'll kind of go like, fuck it then. Because I don't know, it loses its sparkle after I look at it on the computer 5,000 times.
Sure.
But yeah, I think really the driving factor in the Colorado hat idea for me was that, and I touched on this a little bit in the upcoming Substack thing that we're doing together, but being from Ohio, Colorado is a really special place, because when you're driving west from Ohio for the first time, Colorado is where the getting gets good. As you guys know, it's Ohio, Indiana. I'm going to fuck this up. I don't know. Illinois,
Ohio,
Missouri,
Indiana,
Kansas.
Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Depending on I take the Kansas way usually.
Oh, right.
It's kind of it's hell or hell. You can pick your poison on that one. But Colorado is where it gets good, and I've always kind of thought about it as sort of the door into, for people who weren't from there, the unknown. I understand that some people grew up in fucking Aspen or something like that. I get it that some people are like, I know it's the usual deal for us, but being from Ohio, it was like a crazy thing that you didn't get to see very often. And honestly, I grew up seeing it like on TV, in skate videos, in snowboarding videos, and Colorado is truly the place where it starts to be the place. And I start to go, oh shit, oh, that looks like that. Oh, that's where that would have been. It's kind of like when you go on vacation to Los Angeles and you see like a real skate spot and kind of go like, oh shit, that's the one. It felt that way for me for a long time, and it still does. Whenever I go on a trip, a road trip, and once you hit Colorado, it starts to happen again. You start to go like, oh, the trees look like that. Oh, the sun feels like that. It's just kind of a place of unknown Colorado and West. And I always kind of wanted to make sort of a commemorative, piece for that. So I started thinking on making something specifically geographic without having a brand around it. I didn't want to do a Malibu, California, whatever brand under it or whatever. I wanted to do something that was specifically geographic and called out, the place of magic. And I thought about it for a long time, but what sense would going into a Colorado hat as someone who doesn't live there alone make? So I, of course, goes in the back burner for a few months. And when we started working together, I guess last year or the beginning of this year, it kind of came back up, and I was like, oh damn, these guys would be kind of a really amazing home to kick this idea around. So I did what I did best, I did what I do best, and I sent the email.
Okay. I think you're right. It's a funny thing, especially I think that I like how you framed it now and when we talked about it initially, where it's like I think when you're from where we're all from. The world feels a lot bigger and more magical than maybe the reality actually is. And there's only a handful of places that deliver. You know what I mean? I remember when I was younger and the first time I went to New York, I'm like, this is everything the movies portray it as. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Right. Especially if you're not from anywhere near like that.
Yep. And there's so much to dig through and it feels endless. And then it's just like, oh my God, I thought I was so weird. And then you get here and you're like, I'm the least weird person. And that makes me feel so comfortable, you know?
Right.
And it's great. And Colorado was another one where I had no expectations. I'd never been here. I didn't know anything about it. I'm not a big nature guy because where I'm from, nature's like gray woods. You know what I mean? Like it's just sort of
yeah.
Right. I mean, it's like it's not that it's not nice. I'm sure people find peace in it, but it's not like interesting. Is that or like cornfields where I heard there was spiders once in, and I was like, well, I'm not going in those. So it's like I didn't have like I didn't have it as like a magical place in my head, and then you get here. And it's so big and overwhelming, and it delivers way more than you realize. I mean, you know what I'm talking about when you first drive into Boulder specifically, and you see Boulder low in the valley and all the mountains, and you can kind of see way far back, and you're like, that is so much more than I had it in my head as. And I know that even, you know, from being on an airplane, you're like, it's even more than that. Goes on. And it makes you feel so small and in like a really good way. And and it really makes like America suddenly be like kind of magical, you know what I mean? Again, where you're like, yeah, I get it. I get when people say I love America, what they're talking about when you look at like mountains and shit, you know, like it's tight. Right. It feels strong and cool. And it does have that sort of like appeal. And it's completely changed my mind over time on like, you know, my feelings towards that kind of stuff. And it is a really cool place and it's a special place. So I like it. I like where your head was at when you brought it to us. It just made sense. Yeah, it's so tied. It's become so tied to our identity too, because it's also been this thing where it's like, you know, basically as soon as here's the press I had about Colorado when I first moved here was, why are you opening a store there? The only thing that's ever been written about fashion in Colorado was that it's the worst dressed place in America by GQ in like the 90s or something. I don't know, early 2000s or something like that. And it was just this loaded thing of like, well, shit, there's no fashion there. You know what I mean? Like people don't even want it. They reject it entirely. But I just sort of didn't believe that because you were like, people are totally buying into like expensive coffees and understanding why they're different. And the same thing with like, there was interesting restaurants and there was like, you know, they don't not get it. They're just not being told the right story. You know what I mean? So it also
the underlying love of craft is there. It's just not.
Yeah, it was kind of this imposing force when I first got here, though, of like, fuck, how am I going to like change people's mind on this? You know what I mean? The only thing I ever thought was, well, it'll be good for online because we don't have any competitors out there, so that'll help. But then it's become so much different than that, where it was just, it's become so much more part of our identity without us ever trying to make it. So this is kind of one of the first things where we've really put like Colorado like forward a little bit too. And I think it's like, it makes sense because I know it's special to you too. So it was really fun to like have that all come together.
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's everything we said. And I think the other angle that I think is so fun about these things is I love things that serve as that have two angles to them, you know, to the average person. Yeah. And I think that I honestly think that's sort of the through line with everything that I do is it's to the heads. It's one thing. And to the, you know, the guy in, where was it? Gas City, Indiana, it's something completely different. And I think it's really fun that you can be wearing a hat that says Cowgirl, right? To a average clerk at a store, it's completely Western, right? They're assuming that it has everything to do with literal cowgirls. And there's not a thought in their mind about it being like, oh, I wonder if that's about the niche clothing company that does very contrasty and subversive graphics on their clothes. You're right. That would never exist. But I think it's so much fun to do these things where it doesn't say Canoe Club, a clothing store in Colorado. It's not, there's nothing literal about it. You know, it's so much fun that the customers have, you know, like your guys' fan base, and probably a little bit of mine. And the people who are hip to it are going to know exactly what's going on. And everyone else is going to get a hat that says Colorado, and both work, right? There's no wrong answer. But I think that's what's so fun about these things.
We've sort of ended up back in the conversation about why like road tripping maybe is important or fun or broadening of like,
there you go.
It's really nice that it can appeal to anyone and can appeal to someone super specific at the same time, because I think even though you'd normally describe that as broad, I think we've both gone in the most specific way you could about that given thing. So I really like. I think when stuff lands like that, I think it just becomes so much more interesting, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, here I have one. Here you go.
There we go. Let's show it off.
There we go.
It's probably has cat hair on it right now. I'm using a cat tree right now as my desk in my parents' house. I'm working on cleaning it off right now.
Hell yeah.
We're gonna need a lint roller before we photograph.
No.
This
That's the way. That's the way. We like it with the cat hair.
Right.
I think it turned out really great, man. I'm super excited to release it. For anyone that's listening to this, because this will be out on Thursday, we'll do a pre-release to Patreon. So if you're not on there and you want to grab the hat, these are a super limited run. Yeah. You'll have access there, and then we'll do full release on Friday, which I'm sure will have a nice little photo and video and everything that come out on that day. But first release is Patreon. Second one is full on Friday. Yeah.
And Matt, there's something accompanying the hat. Yes.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We have I started doing a little photo series titled "Steel Wool" through Cowgirl, and I've been printing magazines of them. Sort of as a second outlet. And I thought, what amiss would it be to not do a Colorado photo book? So on my last trip through Boulder, I bought a few rolls of film and made sure to stay within the Colorado state lines. So there's a 24-page book magazine, I guess, and that'll come with every hat, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we'll pack those in.
Yeah, very cool. I'm really excited to check it out. I've seen a couple of things that you've posted, but I'm excited to check it out because I think it's also it's so incredibly you to have that with it too, because it's like your personal trip through there. It's funny that a Navy hat that says Colorado on the front has all this deeper meaning, but I think that's what makes it so cool.
Yeah. That's the thing, That's it. That's Cowgirl for sure.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. Well, don't want to take up any more of your time because we told you 30 minutes and I know we went way long. So really appreciate you, man. We're excited to release it. So Thursday, Patreon, Friday, full release. Yep. Everyone can check it out and then follow Cowgirl. And you know what too? Also, your Substack. Let's shout that out. If you don't mind, if you got the URL and everything handy, because I think what you're doing is really cool, and we did a little interview for it too. So
yeah, I'm on Substack at Cowgirl, etc. I believe it's Cowgirl etc. on Substack, and we're gonna do a little interview there as well, and I'll roll out some photos from the book and all that. So yeah, that's cool. That's about all I've got on that.
Yeah.
Look him up there. All right, man. I appreciate you as always. Thanks for coming on.
I'm sure we'll see you soon too. So.
Later, bro.
Oh, I'll be back there.
He'll be back. Later, man. All right, so that was our conversation with Matt.
And we're back. A regular Midwestern fella.
Yeah.
Really easy to get along with. I love this dude. So
you put if there was 50 people in a room and there was only 3 Midwesterners, we'll find each other. We'll be the ones saying, sorry, please, sorry, thank you, please, sorry.
Yeah.
So it's easy to spot us. So we're really excited about this. I think the hats turned out great. I also wanted to note one thing that we didn't note in there is that we're also going to have a restock of the brown butterfly hat. Oh, cool. One that I was personally bummed I missed out on when we first had it, because it sold out really quick. So there's more of those too that are going to be kind of dropping at the same time. So if you missed out on that the first time, here we go.
A brown hat is sort of like a brown lighter. Are you familiar with this lore? Brown lighters are hard to come by.
Yeah,
so it's
I knew. I
bad luck to get rid of them or
college.
something. Yeah. But you never see a brown hat. So
I got this one that I got as a bit, and then I wear it all the time because I like it.
As a bit, yeah. No, it's a good hat. It works for your situation.
So that's all dropping, and we're super excited. So super limited too. So make sure that if you're in Patreon, grab them up quick. If you're on the main release, grab them up fast.
Pop up the website.
What else? What else is? Let's give them a rundown of what was going on while we were away, because I feel like we got an unholy amount of stuff.
So, before we even get into product itself, I want to shout out the event we have coming up next week with Danny D of Danny D's Mud Shop. Danny, if you listen to this, internally you are Dirty Dan.
Oh my God.
Dirty Dan's is coming. Dirty Dan's is coming.
We're gonna need to tell him this in person.
Yeah, no, happily. And it wasn't. We were like, wait, no, it's not. Not Dirty Dan. It's
I don't even know who started. I think we just either just thought it was wrong or someone just said it wrong. But then somebody thought it was funny, but then never corrected anyone else from saying.
Yeah.
So we just kept saying Dirty Dan's, and then now we can't it's hard to.
It stuck. Growing up, I had my best friend. His little brother's name is Jacob, and we were hanging out. Me, my best friend, his little brother Jacob, and another buddy of ours, and we were all gonna go somewhere, and the buddy, the removed buddy goes, all right, let's go. Where is Charlie? and so he was Charlie forever. I wouldn't call him Jacob.
Of all the names that you throw out there, Charlie to Jacob feels anticlimactic.
Yeah, no, it's close enough. Like you get it. But anyway, Dirty Dan, we're having an event with Dirty Dan, Dan of Danny D's Mud Shop. That is going to be on Friday the 25th.
24th.
24th. I was going to say, let me check my calendar to make sure.
So, so this is going to be a fun one. We're doing it in the store with the patio outside, which we don't normally do. So it'll be 25th. A fun 25th. Sorry. He's in town the 24th. Podcast on the 24th.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'll be a hoot.
So we're doing a couple things. So, one, he'll be there. You can come say hi to him. He's a little bit of he's got his own little lore behind him, you know, and he's a really fun, easy to talk to guy. So it'll be a blast. But then also we're restocking plus a bunch, everything we had before. So all of that sold out. In it was like a week.
It was great, dude.
So it went really fast. So we have a ton more. Everything's backed up now. So we've got pretty good numbers on things. I imagine because of the event and everything, it's still going to go very fast. So please come by or please keep an eye on the website because we'll try to get everything published as quickly as possible. There's a special thing happening at this event and this event only. And that is we're launching 3 original products. These are limited run. These will be for that night, and then they will be gone.
We won't even say what they are. Just
no. If you follow him, he's teased things. Yeah. We're really excited. Couple very exclusive, very limited run pieces. If you just aren't here or can't make it out, we understand that that's a bummer. We just can only make so much because these are also handmade. What we're going to be doing is raffling off one of each for Patreon members. Yes. So definitely if you're not in and you want a chance, can't guarantee anything, but that's the place to be. So that should be fun. We're really excited. What he came up with is really cool. Yeah. It turned out great. So
he's a real sweetheart. Again, this all spawned from placing a reorder and him being like, listen, it's going to be too much to ship it, too much time, too much labor, too much money, too much worry because also it's fragile.
Took us about 6-7 hours to unbox it because it's all individually wrapped, which is what it has to be.
Yeah. So I'm excited for him to come out, but it started with him just being like, well, I'm just going to drive this out. This order's big enough and it means enough to me. I'm just going to drive it out. And then we had the little event. So I'm really looking forward to it. I know a lot of the local people are already planning on coming by and showing some love, but it's from 4 to 7 on Friday the 25th. Like Timothy said, if you are keen for some of these exclusives, you're not going to be able to make it in town. Perhaps if you're a Patreon member, you are one of the X amount of people that get chosen for a little one too.
Look at that. Okay, what else do we got? We got a million things. So I think that if you've been waiting on Orslo at all, the wait is over. This is our and maybe there's one other small shipment.
It might be one
this
very
is
small
This is the bulk of the remainder of spring. So we are very well stocked on a bunch of new styles and stuff. I don't know if there's anything you want to specifically point out.
There's just a couple things. Yeah, one, I wanted to shout out those T-shirts. People are really stoked on those tees. They just say ORSL JPN, Japan. So we got some nice Orslo tees. I'm pulling up now just to show, throw some love. Oh, summer fatigues and black herringbone. The navies went instantly. The greens are almost gone. The accrues have also been flying. The black has been the most sought after one. It was the last shipment. So hop over and check that out. It's like
what'd you say? A blast shipment?
Last shipment. I may have jumbled my words a little bit. There's always a chance.
I'm like, what the hell's a blast shipment?
Hell yeah. Well, we'll see about that. The summer fatigue are it's like a punk black. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like it's washed to it's like there's a tinge of brown in the right light. So that's really cool. Wide fit French work pants we've had before, but in a couple of new colors. There's also wide fit New Yorkers, which we've never had. Also, In the wide fit New Yorkers, they are Sumi. Let me pull that up and confirm. Am I right, Cole? Wide fit New Yorkers are Sumi. It matches with the light, simple work jacket in Sumi Black too. Just so if anyone was out there was looking for a kit, Chris hit me up on Discord and was asking about that. So it has a match. Shop coat's really cool and cute. Everything else is dope. If I haven't mentioned it, it's just because we've had it before or because there's so much I can't really touch on it all. Oh, the coaches' jackets are also really nice and getting a lot of love.
Just go on the website.
Just go on the website and scroll through. There's a lot.
There's a billion things.
The's a lot, and Cheddar Pie is going to model this today.
Going very fast. So also, there's a lot, but it feels like every other order is or slow. So get on there and do that.
Yes, sir. That's definitely the case.
Coddle arrived. This is sort of your stuff, so jump in there.
Coddle arrived while we were gone. Let me just shout out again some of the heavy hitters and things that I know people have been asking about. One, the black vein denim jacket and the black vein straight denim pants. Those are incredible. The dye comes out really crisp. Like a Kakishibu dye or something, how it feels like it's really crisp.
Yeah.
But I would anticipate it softening up a ton over time. But kind of a perfect kit. We shot that on Uza yesterday. I'm excited to see how those turned out. Kind of a perfect kit. That denim's really nice. I kind of want a black denim jacket, so let's think about that. I'm not sure I could fit a 4. Other than that, we have the moleskin town jackets back, more type 2s in both a dark indigo wash and then like a true like light indigo wash. Restocked a lot of the hoodies, the thermals. And then these unstructured baseball caps. They'll look cool on the person who can pull them off. You know what I mean? Maybe you're that person, so I like to see. I heard Chris looks good in them, so. But they're completely
I'm sure
unstructured.
Everyone looks fine in them. Don't take his word for it.
I'm not the person
going
to ask.
Through something right now.
Yeah, I've got some sort of dysmorphia building in my body. But other than that, Coddle has landed. It's really dope. What else, Timbo?
Workaday. So we got some Workaday in there.
Jackets. We're still awaiting the rest of the pants and shit.
But there's some good jackets in there. A little bit of Lemaire. So we've got those cool cat's eye pendants and a couple other random little things.
Are you still thinking about the cat's eye pendant?
Maybe. I'm having, like I said, my own crisis of what I need and don't need. Because I tend to buy a bunch of stuff I don't need and then go, well, I got a lot of stuff that I can't complete outfits with. So I'm being a little picky because I need to have clothes. Brain Dead. First main collection from them. We've had the Brooks Brothers first drop. There will be a Brooks Brothers second drop that's really strong too. There's also a I don't know if I can say that, but I don't care. South to West 8 collab, and there's also the Oakley Factory shoes. So we still have plenty kind of coming from them. This is main collection, really interesting, kind of like a lot of like interesting hybrid sort of designs.
I mean, there's hiking, climbing adjacent things like jackets that have mesh pockets and stuff to hold your gear. There's also raw denim. There's some cool hats that have like a bandana.
Shout out
in
that brown raw denim. It's
sick,
really
dude.
Cool. And I saw somebody wearing it. I just hadn't seen it on yet, and the fit is really cool too.
Oh, interesting.
So
cool.
Very, very, very good stuff.
Cool.
So I like that. Looks like we got a little bit of Orly. That's what it says here, but I don't remember what that is.
It may have just been a very, very, very small shipment, dude.
Oh, I know what it is. It was the like thong sandals and stuff.
Oh, yeah, the shoes.
Those thong sandals are sick. And I know that they're expensive, but they're still like $400 less than the Row ones, and I think they're better. So if you're considering, there you go. If anything I just said resonated with you, then there's probably for you.
Yeah.
Maybe we already mentioned this, but huge, massive Northwork shipment.
Massive. Yeah, we did mention that, but it is massive. As we said, it takes a long time in between placing the order and getting it because they don't just have this shit on deck. So we're happy to have that. What else? I got a bunch of boxes of catch ball out there ready to be unpacked and
I feel like there was
handled.
a bit of new. There was here. I know where I can look to get this information. I don't know.
I'm on new arrivals right now.
Hold on. Let me get to it. I'm vamping
while he
right
does
now.
that, I have another one I can talk through. Is Merrill One Trail has arrived. There's
those
some more of
those braided woven or whatever it is. Those are going very fast. I knew they would. They've gotten a lot of love. So I would definitely keep an eye out for those. Grab those up if they resonate with you. Oh, we got some Visva. I don't know if we'd said that. Hoodies, pair of sneakers, pair of shoes.
Yeah.
And some other 1-2 little jacket. Yeah. So there's that. Are we missing anything? I feel like I'm sure we're missing like some random like Asics and
some random Asics,
little WRL.
Also, we have something arriving today, Brondo, which we've been awaiting for a long, long time. CDG wallet. It's been a long time since we've had some. I mean, I'm thinking, dude, like store days, pre-studio, maybe even. Remember the one that had the snake with like a little gem for the eye and shit like that. So,
that one was
CDG wallet.
Gas.
That is.
I've only carried Comme des Garçons wallets for a long time, and I was actually looking to upgrade mine a little bit. So, so good stuff.
Hell yeah.
Good stuff. As far as like luxury leather goods go, like small leather goods, I think Comme des Garçons is like the most affordable and kind of the best because like you don't, you're not paying like Louis Vuitton prices. You're like, I have to be careful with this, but it's still like cool, classic, easy, fun colors and shit. So
yeah. I mean, and you've gotten a lot of wear out of that. That's been your daily for a long ass time.
Years
or
something. Yeah,
it looks cool. Beautiful little green.
Anything else? Is that it? I think we got most of it.
That does seem to be about it.
Okay. Well, hopefully next week we'll get. Well, no, we have an interview next week. So
interview next week. We have 2 interviews next week, technically. Maybe 3 interviews next week. Another segment that we'll get ready for. So
okay, I know what you're talking about.
But we'll be good.
All right.
So yeah, if you have any questions, obviously, please feel free to reach out. If you are keen for the Cowgirl hats, sign up for Patreon. There's also another early release happening this Thursday on Patreon.
Asics and Story?
Yes.
I don't know what we're allowed to say and what we're not allowed to say. Brands, if you'd like us to be more careful, send us information so we know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those are going to be gone like that. So if you're at all interested, get on Patreon. Because I think they're going to go like instantly.
And then again, we're going to do a raffle for the event exclusive items from Danny D's.
Those will just be free too, just to be clear.
Yeah, we're just going to random number generator.
We rarely do things that are in store only, but we like to do that now and then for the store and for the people that are around in Boulder. And this was just a function of like we only had so many. Yeah. If we happen to have leftovers or something, we'll make sure they go there first.
Yeah, we could hit everybody with the excess. We at least wanted
to yank them and at least do a little giveaway there.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, so keep your eye out for that. We got a lot of stuff going on over here. So thank you for listening. Hit us up with anything. And I think that's about it.
Fuck you, Delta.
Yeah, fuck you, Delta, for real. If Delta Airlines ever tries to join the Discord, they're triple banned instantly.
We've already made that clear.
Triple banned.
You're
instantly.
Not coming on the podcast unless it's to personally apologize to me. I don't care. I don't have that much venom. It's already like left by 30% because it's been a few days. So.
I can tell because I know you haven't gone to war with them yet.
I will at some point, but I need to do it when I'm not mad, so it doesn't start off with I hate you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I need to like let it. So
yeah.
All right.
Alrighty then. We'll see you.
Bye.